I'm fairly certain Gavin might want to add his name to the pardon list of Biden before he leaves office, because what are they doing with the federal funds that they're receiving? So there was a theory, there's a hypothesis out there. They don't mind the disasters because they get more federal funding when they happen, and so they can then not use state funding to take care of these problems in advance.
Well, he squandered away all this COVID money that was stolen by even criminals and people in prison in Arizona. The money was never accounted for, the federal COVID money. Billions of dollars was lost. The budget is now billions of dollars in the red. He has bankrupted the entire state. It had a surplus just 2 years ago. Now it's completely underwater, billions of dollars in the red. And with Grandpa leaving, he's now has to deal with Uncle Harsh, Donald Trump, and he's in a battle to the death with this guy. They do not like each other. Trump famously came out there, was with him 4 years ago, and stood in the woods and said, "This is bad forest management." He said to his face, "That's what your problem is." The problem that Newsom won't explain is that he's forbidden by the environmental lobby to do what Trump is telling him to do. So he's between a rock and a hard place. No more funding for your campaigns. No more 100% approval rating by the Sierra Club if you do what Donald Trump says to do.
I want to get into the lobby in a second. There was a 10-minute video explaining the Resnicks who own Wonderful Palm, Pistachio, and allegedly control a quarter of the freshwater, or control a substantial portion of the freshwater in California. Are you familiar with the Resnick family, or the farm family?
First of all, there's a lot of pistachio growers up there. They've been there. The bulk of them are Middle Eastern, by the way. It is something that the Lebanese are heavily into, and brought over famously pistachio trees from Greece, and originally, and from Armenia, and also from Lebanon. So it is an area that is, makes a lot of money for the state of California in terms of growing pistachios.
But the Resnick family in particular, they apparently own a lot. There's a documentary, or at least a 10-minute expose that talks about how they secured control over the water. And
okay, just so you know, we had the rainiest year this year and probably in 40 years in LA. And they captured none of the water. There's nothing to forget about the pistachio nuts. That's a separate issue. Capture of free water coming from the sky was not allowed because of their environmental policies.
Okay, so who is the environmental lobby in California? Like specifically,
it's a combination. It's a combination of these different groups, like the Sierra Club. There's a bunch of them. And they are the ones who control. You got to understand this. These environmental groups, and I mean groups like the Sierra Club and the others, they control California. They don't make noise. They operate behind the scenes. He has put all of these people on these boards who are termed out. In California, everyone's got a term limit. So the way he rules by fiat, Newsom, which people aren't aware of, is when you're termed out, you have to come to him to grovel to get a job on one of these environmental boards. That's why he controls the state. Nobody's hip to this. Because of term limits, he has found a way to really empower himself by giving you a job after you're termed out.
I feel tremendously stupid because I don't know anything about the Sierra Club. And if encrypted.
Okay, well, it's a far left organization that started out as a friendly hike in the woods group that went crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. And they're not alone. There's about 25, 35 of these Sierra.
What
Sierra
is the environmental problem from allowing the freaking 117 million gallon reservoir, or whatever it was, to retain water? What's the issue with
there's a number of issues. One, they don't believe in it's hard to explain to a normal person, but they don't believe in reservoirs.
Is there not an issue about not collecting the water also that might exactly?
They don't believe in dams. They have a moratorium legally on building dams to dam water, to have water to do these things. And it's all, you can look at Chinatown, the movie. It's all about water, Jake. I urge you to watch Chinatown.
I have to go back. I watched it. I was 10 and I didn't really like it because I guaranteed.
Well, go back and look at it because it's quite contemporary right now.
Okay, that's
everything in LA is about, and California, Southern and Northern, is about water rights and water and distribution out of the Colorado River. And the political power comes from water and the control of water. It's also an extension of water is environmental control of these laws and regulations.
I take for granted, or I took for granted, everybody watching knows who you are. Is this guy a journalist? This guy, Mark Groubert, is to, I say, conspiracy, in entertainment, and politics at large what Barnes is to law and geopolitics. Groubert is
Well,
the second biggest brain that I know on this earth.
just to answer the guy's question, I was an investigative reporter for the LA Weekly for 12 years, just as a regular beat reporter in LA, if that'll satisfy your question on that. I also worked for some other newspapers, but as a strict ink reporter, 12 years, LA Weekly.
Okay, the Smelt.
The Smelt is almost a joke. I mean, this is like
is it a red herring? Pun intended.
That's funny. Is it kosher? Can you eat this thing?
You could eat the Smelt. That would be a kosher.
I mean, you're a bigger fish guy than I am, but it used to be the snail darter in the 70s. That was the fish of the decade, was the snail darter. Now apparently replaced by the Smelt.
The snail darter, I would not think is kosher. That looks like one of those
that looks like
prehistoric fishes. But a lot of people are saying the Smelt is just the pretext to prevent the use of the water, or to monopolize.
No. It's again one of these Sierra Club things that they're willing to die on this hill. They are so far left that their policies. The reason they don't advertise their policies is because they would make your head explode. That's funny.
There's a lot of them. I like the Smelt.
That's funny. That's a good one.
Mine is better. The Smelt being the red herring is good because I like. First of all, from what I understand, and you'll know better than me, the Smelt hasn't been seen in the Delta in 6 years. Yet they still use it as the excuse to flush fresh water into the Delta to reduce the salinity. How many homes?
These are all theoretical things. By the way, everything that the Sierra Club is pushing, and when I say Sierra Club, I'm talking about Sierra Club et al. Everything they're pushing is theoretical stuff that has physical problems to it and physical results. They do not give a shit. All they care about is their theoretical environmental crap. But on the other hand, as part of their defense system, their Delcon shield, anyone who challenges them, they say climate change.
I'm just looking at the executives of the Sierra Club. This is quite funny. Ben Jealous. Oh, I would change my last name if it were Jealous.
No. Ben Jealous is. People know who Ben Jealous is. He's a pretty famous operative.
Holy crap!
Look up Ben Jealous, former investigative journalist. Oh yeah, he's as far left as you could get. Ben. He's a political operative. I think he was a guy who was on these podcast shows. It's a whole crew. It's a whole crew. But the problem is the containment of these fires right now, to get back to the actual fires instead of the politics. The fires themselves, the physical containment of these fires is going to be exacerbated Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday because massive Santa Ana winds are returning with 50-mile-an-hour gusts again. This is a calm before the storm. Saturday today is the calmest of it. Sunday, it's going to start to pick up. Tuesday and Wednesday, from what I'm hearing it's going to go back to 50 to 70 miles per hour. And in there lies the problem of how you deal with that. They're racing against time. They're racing against the Santa Ana winds returning to that area.
I'm good. Well, I'll look. I'm going to delve into the what the Santa Ana winds are after you take off. But do you have any idea? Like I'm reading 10,000 buildings have been burnt, but by the looks of it, it can't be.
Well, it's more like 15,000 at this point. I mean, it's not going to stop. This is good. You don't understand. This is not going to stop for weeks. This is a runaway freight train. They are trying to dump as much fire retardant on as much houses and that green gel that you see them dropping. Then they do the scoopers where they go out into the ocean. They'll scoop your pool right out. That's how fine a line. They could go into your backyard and scoop out your pool. That's how good these guys are. I mean, they are masterful at what they're doing. But the fact of the matter is they don't have enough manpower. They brought in, they said the National Guard's coming in. Okay. They brought in 400 National Guard. They stationed these guys standing next to their trucks so people can't get into a neighborhood and loot. They're just standing there. They're not helping. They're not digging. They're not doing anything physical. They're literally just standing there guarding the outskirts of a neighborhood. Now, looter scooters, I don't know if you know about this, the looter scooters are going around in packs of 100, looting in various homes in Pasadena, Altadena, and there's nothing left in Pacific Palisades, but they're going into any place they could find in groups of 100 and pulling out whatever they can. The scooter looters, or the looter scooters, as they have been called, is another problem. We had Nate Hochman on the show. He's the new district attorney of Los Angeles. He was on the show during the election this year, and he vows to incarcerate them. The guy they caught the other day, who was the arsonist with the blowtorch, they didn't even charge the guy. I mean, the neighborhood had to wrestle this guy down and make a citizen's arrest. He was using a blowtorch on garbage cans.
Just tell everybody your show is It's
America's
America Friday afternoon at 5:30.
Friday and Tuesday at 5:30 Eastern. We'll be on this Tuesday with more of that. But I'm trying to get the mayor of Malibu on Tuesday. I know he's busy. We're trying to get him on the show on Tuesday to give.
What level?
These places have small mayors. Pasadena has a mayor. Altadena has a mayor. These are the people that I'm trying to deal with to give people a sense of what's really going on. Because anything above that rank in California is then taken over by the DEI person of information.
That's my question. It's like, when you have the mayor of Malibu, what responsibility does he bear, or power does he even have for general infrastructure issues as relates to?
It's basically ceremonial, but they have information. That's the point. They're not guilty of anything in terms of structural damage, but the mayor of Malibu and the mayor of these different places have information, and that's what I'm trying to get out of them.
Are they amenable to playing into spilling the beans, or
I don't know.
I'll
find out. I'll find out. I mean, we had Hochman on here, and Hochman beat George Gascon, the Marxist, almost by a 2-to-1 margin, and won the election because George Soros was cut off from funding. He stopped funding George Gascon, and we finally started to arrest people in Los Angeles and incarcerate them. This is all new. So the chief of police is controlled by Karen Bass. The sheriff's department is not. So, I mean, for years I've said that the mayors of these blue cities should not be allowed to have a private army, David, that they control by appointing their hand-picked chief of police. It's insane. Has to be an elected position like sheriff.
When you say that fires are going to burn out of control, what I understand is, like, in these densely populated areas, I mean, what level of brush is there to even
the homes themselves. These homes are completely surrounded by brush. You could barely see out the window because they like to look at trees, and they refuse to clear their own brush. Years ago, they used to use prisoners would do it, in orange jumpsuits. They found that to be, too painful to the prisoners. I mean, there's a number of reasons why they haven't cleared the brush, but all of those homes in Mandeville Canyon and Brentwood are packed together, surrounded by eucalyptus trees, and if one of them goes, they're all going to go.
And then the houses themselves, light wood frame structures that burn.
Absolutely. In fact, for months, a whole year, everyone's been talking about the home insurance companies flying drones over everyone's homes, and then finding this loophole where the insurance companies, and this is to people who have had the same homeowner's policy for 30 years, David, and have never filed a claim. All of a sudden, and this is the past year up until a month ago, they had drones flying over their homes, filming their roofs. And then they would get a letter from the homeowner's insurance company saying, you must replace your roof within 30 days or lose your policy. Good luck finding contractors to replace your roof in 30 days. So what they did was they cut all of these people's homeowners insurance using this roof scam.
They were flying drones over people's property.
Yes.
Holy crab apples. I mean, yeah. I had read that Allstate had canceled like 30,000 policies because
this is how they did it. They flew over, videotaped your roof, said it needed to be replaced to maintain your insurance policy. They gave you 30 days to replace the roof on your house. And when they couldn't comply within 30 days, they canceled their homeowners insurance policies.
That is absolutely wild. What about the issue that they couldn't increase premiums more than 7% without the state approval?
Yeah, there's regulations on the top of how far you can go. They're bailing out of the state. This has been going on for 2 or 3 years now. The state insurance executive for the state refuses to give press conferences. No one knows where he is. They've canceled all these policies. There's a thing called FAIR, where you can dip into money in a state organization called FAIR for homeowners insurance. That's bankrupt now. There's no more money left in that. All of these, Cloward and Piven, good call right there, Jenny. All of these chickens are coming home to roost. All of these DEI leftist policies mixed with natural disaster, which they used to exploit, has now overwhelmed them.
Where do people? There's going to be eminent domain. The government saying it's now a disaster zone. You don't even get to go back to the lot.
Yeah, I think the state is going to seize the entire swath of land that is Pacific Palisades. I think their dream, quietly and secretly, if this happened, would be to build low-income housing all along that strip. Of course, you got to keep in mind it's illegal to build a single-family home in Los Angeles now. I don't know if people realize that.
Why?
You have to build multiple family dwellings.
This is when I've been calling California commie Florida.
You have no idea the depths of the regulations.
So you can only build communal living. You cannot build.
Absolutely. That's true. You can't open up a gas station. All gas stations have been banned. If a gas station burns to the ground, it's done. You can't open up a new gas station. They made that illegal.
People are hypothesizing, and I can't blame them, that this is above and beyond being enhanced by eucalyptus, natural stupidity, no water, arsons. People are going with like directed energy, lasers. And I'm not trying to make fun of them because it's not the craziest thing out there.
Yeah.
The fires are burning out of control, not from any sort of superpower accelerant. This is just the natural.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We have it all the time. But it's usually controllable. But when you give away like 20% of your firefighting equipment to another country that's at war with another country, and you're ordered to do that by the Biden administration, believe me, she didn't wake up, Karen Bass, and say, I'm going to give away 20% of our firefighting equipment. That was an order from the Biden administration. And then the layoffs. I mean, the COVID layoffs, when they wouldn't take the COVID vaccine, they all got fired. You have a loss of manpower.
Well, I'm hearing numbers like 100, 115. Some are saying 400. Some are saying more. Do you have any specifics or any insight? I mean, we know what happened. The only question is to what degree.
Oh, in terms of firefighters?
In terms of numbers of firefighters.
These cases are still active, so I don't know. Barnes would probably know more than I do about it. You could ask Robert.
Yeah,
the actual numbers. Robert knows more about that. But Robert was talking about a policy of burn, Malibu burn, which is a Marxist policy, which is basically overall what I'm talking about. You could read City of Courts by Mike Davis. There's a lot of lefty hatred for everything. So they hate the city of Los Angeles, and they hate, Malibu being on the Indian burial grounds and Pacific Palisades and the sheer wealth that is there or was there.
What's going to happen now that the houses are no longer there?
I think the state's going to buy up the property. This looks like Maui.
And
I think that Maui was a model. The landslides are coming. The mudslides are going to start to come the end of January and early February.
This is a fucking catastrophe, Mark.